Ladies and gentlemen, the new Caves and Cliffs Update Part 1 releases in just a few days, and while the new world generation isn't there, it contains over 100 new blocks and items. My name is slicedlime. In this guide I'm going to take you through how to go about getting access to all of these new things. Let's dive right in. You can make things glow with the new glow ink sacks that drops from glow squids. Well, then you'll need to find a glow squid. You can find them in water in caves. They spawn in completely dark water up to 5 blocks above the naturally generating stone types, that is stone, diorite, andesite, granite, tuff, or deepslate. Of course, you could also try to farm them by setting up this environment for yourself. Anyway, killing a glow squid gives you 1 to 3 glow ink sacks, more with looting. Once you have them, you can use them on a sign to make the sign glowing, or you can craft them together with an item frame to get a glow item frame. Another new type of item is the raw metal. You now get raw metal drops from ore that includes raw iron, raw gold, and raw copper. We'll get back to copper though. You get more of these in Fortune, but if you want the old style ore block, then you can still get that with Silk Touch. Once you get the raw metal items, then you can craft them 3x3 to get raw metal blocks. That is raw iron blocks, raw copper blocks, and raw gold blocks. They totally don't look like beans. Let's get back to copper. Copper ore can be found in blobs across the overworld, similar to iron and coal. The distribution ranges from height 0 at the bottom of the world to height 96, but it is a triangular distribution, which means that it will be the most abundant at around height 48. Once you've mined raw copper, then you can smelt it to get copper ingots. Once you have copper ingots, you can craft them 3x3 to get copper blocks. Once you have copper blocks, you can craft those 2x2 to get cut copper or cut them in a stone cutter. And cut copper in turn can be crafted or stone cut into stairs and slabs. All of those blocks are also available in 4 stages of oxidization. They are copper, exposed copper, weathered copper, and oxidized copper, progressively turning the block more and more green. To oxidize a block one stage, just place it into the world. This will be fastest if there are no other copper blocks around. And all of those blocks are also available in a waxed version, immune to further oxidization and deoxidization by lightning by using a honeycomb on them or crafting them with honeycomb. An alternative way of obtaining copper is to get it from drowned. Drowned now drop copper ingots instead of gold ingots. Note that it still has to be a player kill, and that looting increases the chance of getting the drop. Another new block is the lightning rod. It is crafted from 3 copper ingots. Another new set of blocks is the amethyst crystal blocks. You can find these in amethyst geodes. Budding amethysts exist here, and you cannot obtain those in survival mode. They cannot be moved, and if you try to mine them, they simply break. Amethyst blocks, on the other hand, can be mined and obtained that way, but you can also craft them from 2x2 amethyst shards. The shards you get by mining amethyst clusters, which grow from the budding amethyst, starting out as buds and growing 3 stages until they become clusters. You can also get the buds themselves by mining them with Silk Touch. Another new item is the spyglass. It's obtained by crafting 2 copper ingots and an amethyst shard. Another one is tinted glass that is crafted from 1 glass block and 4 amethyst shards. Let's talk more about the new stone types. Dripstone blocks can be bought from some mason villagers when you unlock the trade at journeyman level. That's the 3rd level unblocks. You get 4 blocks for 1 emerald. Note that this will have to be a new villager unlocked after the upgrade. Dripstone blocks and the pointed dripstone can also be found in dripstone clusters generating in some caves. There's also a wandering trader trade for it, where some wandering traders will sell 2 pointed dripstone for 1 emerald. Once you have these blocks though, there is dripstone growth to get more of them. You can place a pointed dripstone underneath a dripstone block with a water source above it. Make sure you have a floor or another pointed dripstone block within 10 blocks below it, and very slowly, new pointed dripstone blocks will generate. Another new stone type is the Deepslate family of stone. You can find that in blobs with their center at height between 0 and 16. When you mine that without Silk Touch, then you get cobbled deepslate, which can then in turn be smelted back into deepslate. Cobbled deepslate turns into stairs, slabs, and walls, either by crafting or using a stone cutter. It can also be stone cut or crafted 2x2 into polished deepslate, which also has stairs, slabs, and walls. And that can also be crafted 2x2 or cut into deepslate bricks, which also has stairs, slabs, and walls, and also a cracked version which you get by smelting it. Those Deepslate bricks in turn can be turned into tiles by crafting them 2x2 or cutting it once again. And the Deepslate tiles also have stairs, slabs and walls made from crafting, and a cracked version that you obtain by smelting it. Finally, there's also chiseled Deepslate, which you get by crafting 2 cobbled slabs on top of each other. There's also Deepslate versions of all of the ore types. All of these can be found when an ore tries to generate into a space where there's already a Deepslate blob. You can mine them, but if you want the Deepslate version, then you have to use Silk Touch. Finally, there's also Infested Deepslate. This is not obtainable in survival, but if you want one of these in your survival world, you can of course place a Deepslate block and then lure a silverfish into it. There are other new added stone types that you might want to get too. Smooth Basalt. You can either smelt that from basalt, or it can be found as one of the layers in Amethyst geodes. There's another new stone type called Calcite that you can only find in Amethyst geodes. And a new stone type called Tough, which also, like Deepslate, generates in blobs with their center at height between 0 and 16. Let's get back above ground and talk about Powder Snow. If you want powder snow, then leave a cauldron outside in any place where you get falling snow. It will slowly fill up with powder snow, and once it's filled up, you can pick it up with a bucket. Then use that bucket to place a powder snow block down where you want it. There are also all the Lush Blocks. Most of them stem from moss blocks, so that's probably the first thing you want to find. You can find that in a shipwreck supply chest. That's the chest where you usually find food, armor, and coal. There's a 42% chance of finding a moss block in such a chest. If you don't find them that way, you can also luck out and have a wandering trader sell you 2 moss blocks for 1 emerald. Moss can then be bone mealed. When bone mealed, moss spreads to other nearby blocks, so you'll need some blocks for it to replace. It can replace stone, granite, andesite, diorite, tuff, deepslate, dirt, coarse dirt, rooted dirt, grass blocks, podzol, mycelium, or cave vines. So you'll want some of those blocks nearby. Use bone meal on moss to get more moss blocks. When you do that, on top of it, you also get new vegetation. 60% of all the blocks will have some form of vegetation growing on them. And about those, some of the interesting ones is about a quarter of those will be moss carpet, 7% will be azalea bushes, and 4% will be flowering azalea bushes. If you want moss carpet, you can also craft that directly from the moss blocks. The azalea and flowering azalea bushes can then be bone mealed to get azalea trees. The stem is made out of oak logs, so you probably had easier access to that, but the leaves are randomly scattered azalea and flowering azalea leaves. You'll get about 25% of them flowering. When you do that, you also get 1 rooted dirt block below the tree. You could also alternatively get 2 rooted dirt blocks from Wandering Trader for 1 emerald. If you bone meal a rooted dirt, then you can get hanging roots growing on the underside of that block if there's air there. Another alternative is to till the rooted dirt with a hoe that will convert it into regular dirt, and you will pop out a hanging roots item, but there's no way to craft this back into rooted dirt. Some other lush items are cave vines and glowberries. You'll get glowberries from mineshaft chest minecarts, and you'll have about a 39% chance of finding glowberries in each one that you find. Note that these have to be new chest minecarts that you've never opened before. You can plant glowberries on the ceiling to get cave vines, and they can grow over time to get more of them that way. If you use bone meal on them, you can also get more berries that way. Or if you want to automate that in a quirky but very slow way, then bees will also pollinate cave vines, causing berries to grow. There's also the Dripleaves. The Wandering Trader is the only source of this from the beginning. It will sell 2 small Dripleaves for 1 emerald. Once you have that, you can bone meal that and get a big Dripleaf instead, and the big Dripleaf can then be bone mealed to get more of them. However, there's no way to get back to a small Dripleaf once you've done that. The Wandering Trader is the only place to get small Dripleaves. One important thing to keep in mind is that if you want to get the small Dripleaf back, then you'll need to use shears. Lichen grows in caves. You'll need to use shears to get this too once you've found it, so go adventuring in newly generated caves. Once you have one, you can spread it to adjacent surfaces using bone meal to get more. And now finally, candles. Candles are crafted from a string and a honeycomb. They then come in 16 colors plus the uncolored variant that you already made, and you get those by crafting them together with a dye. There's also the cake with candle blocks. You cannot get those in your inventory, you only create them by placing a candle into the cake. There are also some blocks that are available in creative mode or as op only that you cannot get in survival mode. Let's start with the Spore Blossom. The Spore Blossom is available from the creative inventory, but it is not obtainable in survival. There are light blocks that can only be obtained with /give commands, bundles which can also only be obtained with /give commands unless you have the Caves and Cliffs preview data pack installed, in which case they are crafted from rabbit hide and string. And finally the Skulk Sensor, which can also only be obtained using the /give command. That was a quick rundown of how to get the new blocks in Minecraft 1.17 in your world. Keep in mind that anything that is about generating will only happen in new chunks, and anything that can be found in any form of chest or container can only appear if you've never opened that container before. And that was it for me for this time. Happy hunting, good luck finding all of these cool new items. My name is slicedlime, and I'll see you next time.